here what we covered last time quickly.
Okay.
We didn't cover much, but we just covered the basics. And this is, I thought of the agenda, but we could not complete everything. So we just gave some introduction to the cloud, about me, and we discussed about what is cloud computing, very basics. Obviously, you know, so you ensure that you have not lost much. And we talked about what is private cloud, public cloud, hybrid, multi, and community cloud. We also talked about what are the different implementation, like cloud service implementation model, right? How the cloud can be implemented in different way. And also we learned about little bit about how to create a Linux instance on the cloud. So how many of you created the cloud account on GCP? I assume everybody, all of you, if you're serious on, then you should have already one account created with GCP. How many of you created? All of you. If somebody has not created, I expect you right now, please go ahead and create it. And just how to do that. Now let me completely do that for them from Windows. I assume that you have Windows system, so you can follow up and you can work with me also. Right now, this is a complete, today it will be a completely hands-on session. So we'll not talk much theory, but it will be complete hands-on and you can do with me. So let me go to a Windows system, which I have my personal Windows system. More, please use your personal system, personal laptop or desktop, because if you are using either emails or Etna's laptop, that may not allow you to do a lot of things. So please use your personal laptop to do so. And that will give a lot of flexibility and all those, because this is a learning session. So there is no point in having some restriction to learn, right? So I suggest shift to your personal laptop or desktop and start doing it. Okay. Well, let me close everything so that we know what you are doing. This is, I just logged into my personal Windows machine. Okay. That is a
If you
desktop.
can share your screen.
Am I not sharing?
No, no, not yet.
Oh, guys, you should have already told.
It's okay. You're closing and reopening, right? So it's a good way to start.
Okay. I thought I'm sharing somehow. Okay.
Yeah, welcome to the whole facilitating.
That's why I was showing the presentation, what I did last time. Okay. Maybe, okay. This is the presentation again.
Fine.
Sorry, guys. Okay. I don't know what is happening to me today. I am missing something. So we talked about these slides. Okay. I thought I was sharing, but so we talked about cloud computing model. Okay. What is cloud computing is all about, and what are the types of cloud, what are the implementation model, and how to create a Linux instance in cloud. And we're taking GCP as the cloud hosting service provider for this training. And once we are little comfortable, then we'll go to Azure, because that's, for our team, Azure is the main cloud environment to work on. So we'll shift to Azure too, but let's start with GCP. Okay. So as I said, let's go to the Windows system, which I have today. And here is my Windows system. And this is not a VM, by the way, because I have a Mac. I'm hosting this session from Mac, so obviously I have to join just to clarify. I have a desktop at home, and I'm taking a remote session from that desktop. So if you have a Windows laptop, you can visualize the same way, right? So open your browser if you're not, and any browser, go to cloud.google.com. Right. So if you have not, maybe let me sign out. So if you are
Punch,
new,
actually, sorry, Punch. Actually, I'm using Imit's system today, so I can create the account, GCP account from here.
you are free. Yeah, this is not anything that you are free to do anything you want. What is suitable for you? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm talking about if you want to really follow this training, do just use your. That's what I said. The personal,
Yeah.
use the
Okay.
personal laptop. Okay. Great. So once you are, if you have a Gmail ID, that should be fine. If you have already used your account already, the free tier, then you can create a new account again and new Gmail ID, and you can start also. This morning I created a new one because I consumed my the time. You see here, get 300 of free credits and free usage of 20 plus products. So it is free actually. You'll get 300 worth of cloud services for free. If you have already, just sign in. And obviously when you create a new account, this is punchcloud at Gmail I created. Okay, so if this is my cloud account, and if you don't have it, just create it. It will be simple. So just you don't have to have anything different than how you use your Gmail account, like Gmail. Similarly, if you just use another account and create an account here, right, for myself, and you give your name, password, everything, just to create an account, and the same account can be utilized for the cloud. So I have already a Gmail account and I just log into that, okay? And you have to, of course, give your credit card details. And don't worry, they will not charge unless you cross that limit, as I said last time, okay? So once you are into the cloud.google.com, you will see here there's a console. Just click there. And this is the cloud console where all the services will be visible. And go to the navigation menu and you can see all your services here at the left side, right? And let's go to the compute engine. So today we'll see how we can access. Last time we saw from Linux how to access this machine, but today I'm going to show you how to access this, create a VM on the cloud, access it from Windows system using PuTTY. Okay, there is another way also using gcloud command line interface. You also can access it. And also today we'll see, because we all are developers in this session, I believe most of us are from development background. So I'll also show you how to access the instance which create on cloud and use our MS code, right, to create files and folders in that VM, so that if you want to write your development code and run it in that instance, you can how to do that. So that's what I'll be covering today. Okay. So let's go ahead and up to here, any doubt, just let me know, because this is the basics. At least I believe all of you should have been in this screen right now, because I want to just cover with you so that you understand. Initially, I want to be slow so that because all of us are not really used to the cloud. Many are from like Naval, do you have any cloud background, Naval?
No, this is the first time.
Okay, great.
So
That
I'm actually on the dashboard, right now.
So yeah, that's why I had to be slow a little bit
Yeah.
initial days, so people do understand. And then once everybody, all of us, are at the base layer, everything is set up, then we'll go faster. So today, let's talk about the basics. So if all of you are in this screen, that's good. So go to the navigation menu, go to Compute Engine. Here, you see there is a compute here, right? And in that compute engine, and here you can see the VM instances. So just click that. The first time you click, it may not come to this screen directly what you are saying. It will go to enable compute API if you are just created new, okay? So it will be a different screen because I have already enabled the API. So if you are not, then it will go to that screen. It will ask you to click a button called enable compute API.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So just click on enable.
Yeah. So just click enable and it will take some time, maybe 30 seconds, just to enable the compute API for you. Because by default, no APIs are enabled. Okay. So you have to manually enable. That's for security reasons again, because all the whatever you need on demand, right? You don't need to enable everything. A lot of services. So you have to enable particular services to use. Okay. Great. If you are here, put it. Create the instance. Okay. Create instance. Let it be instance 1. And reason I have explained you last time a little bit about it. I'll not spend more time this time again. So it is near to, just select wherever you want. What is the region near to you? For us, Eastern, US Eastern, if you see North Virginia is near to us, US East 4, click that. And if you are in India, you can, Mumbai region, you can put possibly. Europe, you see here Europe, then Asia Pacific region, Delhi, Mumbai. You can choose either. If you are in middle, central, America Central, we can actually Central 1. You can select anyone, okay? I'm selecting the US East 4, and then you can select the zone. I'm selecting East 4A, and I'm creating general purpose. I have explained what this is all about last time, so I'll not go details. Maybe if you still need information, possibly I can tell that one-on-one later. For everybody's interest, I'll not explain this more, okay? Let's take by default what is there, or you can reduce it to gig, to CPU, to vCPU, 2 gig. Let me be 4 GB, 4 gig RAM and 2 vCPU. And let me change the boot disk. I would like to, this is by default Debian. So you can choose Windows or whatever. I'll choose CentOS, right? CentOS. This is a Linux from Red Hat. Okay, this is the open source Red Hat version. Okay. And if you want to put Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you can always do that. Fedora also, it is from, this is the development version. And this is, okay, are you aware of how the Red Hat release cycle? Normally, they start with Fedora, that is the open source version, that is the development version. Lot of new features they test in that Fedora release. And once it is tested properly, then they actually go to the Linux, Red Hat Linux Enterprise. Once that is well tested and they are about to release a new one, then they release as CentOS. Okay, and that is again open source. But this is little old though, old code, but still it is free. So we'll use the CentOS and we'll use either 7 or 8. Current version is 8. Anyone you can choose. Let's go 8 and take the size by default 20 gig and select. So now you see here it is changed to CentOS 8 20 gig size and so on and so forth. Okay, put all the things by default, whatever, because this is today we're learning how to access it. So I'll not create any networking details today. So go here and if you want, you can change, but at this point, don't change anything. Just because you have the default. If you here, go here, you see there is a default. And what I did, maybe just to go back. So here, if you see here, networking, disk security management, all these things. Just click there and you can see all this networking, disk security. So just expand the networking drop down menu here. And you see here network interface default. This means already there is some networking created for you. That is the default network. And this is the subnet. Actually, this is the VPC, which has been already created for you. We'll talk about maybe next session, what is the VPC and all, but don't change anything. Just keep everything what has been already decided and given to you by default. Just keep it as it is and to make as simple as possible so that you follow it. Okay. And just create. Okay. I open the HTTP and the HTTPS also. I click there. So that's if you don't want to do that, fine also, because we are just simply going to access it. So because I'm going to set up a Windows, web server, that's why you opened it. But if you don't want just to create it, you can, and you can delete it, you can recreate it. There is no issues. So if you have missed something, don't worry about it. We can readily delete it and we can recreate in 1 minute. If you see here, this is showing green status. That means this instance is running. If you take your mouse over, this instance is running and it has got a name. It is running in the zone of US is 4A and in use by, it is not used. And the internal IP and external IP. Remember, there are two things always for any instance on the cloud. There are two IPs assigned to them. IP addresses are nothing but the addresses through which we access the virtual machines or any machine on the internet. So to the outside world, because to the cloud world or the internet world, this is the IP through which you can access outside the cloud. But inside cloud, that is the inside GCP, they'll be recognized by this. So that because when the traffic goes out of GCP, obviously there is a lot of restrictions, a lot of security attached to it. And then only the traffic goes out of the cloud. So if you want to simple access each VM internally, suppose I have created another instance, then I can refer to each internal IPs to communicate between them. But anytime if I have to access from outside the cloud, that is like from my home, just now I'm going to access. So I have to use the external IP, not the internal IP. If you have not assigned any external IP, that means you cannot access that instance from outside cloud. I'll show that how to, there are some instances where we don't want to access them, like databases. We don't want to give any outside access, right? So if we want to host a database, then possibly I don't want to assign external IP to that. We'll see that also. Okay, but for the time being, I have already assigned one. By default, it takes a public IP, external IP. And now how to access it? That's the question. So there's a simple way I'll tell. Before that, let's go back a little bit, let it be running. And I want to just introduce one thing called G-Cloud CLI. Just go to your Google and search CLI, command line interface, okay? G-Cloud CLI, and you see here installing Cloud SDK. Just open it, this tab, maybe another tab. And if you have Windows, obviously how to install in different platforms, it is already given. It by default recognize that I'm accessing the site from Windows, so it is giving me the Windows directly, and download Cloud SDK installer, right? Just click it, and you'll see there is a exe file will be downloaded, right? I already have that, so go to downloads. If you see here, this is the one, right? I have it. So just once it is downloaded, you can just double click it. And this is the command line interface, which will be mostly will be using going forward. And it will be one of the, I'm sorry?
Hold on. So, okay, download the SDK installer, right?
Yeah. Just download it, and it should be the exe file. And once it is downloaded, just double click that.
Okay. Yeah,
right?
You can go.
And then just click next. I agree. You can use single user, all the users for your whatever you wish to. Maybe put all users so that it will be installed system-wide. If it is not, then it will be installed on your home folder. That is the /C drive /user. This is normally, this is for the personal users. This is the folder, right? Normally in the C drive users, and according to your username, this is the normal folder. This is the called home folder in Windows. Is always C drive users and in which user you have logged in. That's the normally the home folder for in Windows. So if you are selecting for me only, then it will be installed in that, okay? In that folder. If you're using all the users, then it will be obviously in a different folder. So here, do you want to use this app to make changes? Yes. And now if you select all the users, you see here, the selected folder is C, program files, x86, Google, Cloud SDK. You can change it if you want, but let it be by default. Install and install. So there is already a version of SDK install on this. It is recommended that you first uninstall the previous installation. Do you want to continue? I will say no, okay, because I have already installed. So you go ahead and install it and say yes. If it is first time you're installing, just go ahead and install it. And let me know, please, once it is done. So I'll not wait, but I'll go to where I left. Once you install it, I'll go back to my console. So let's see who already done that. How to check it? How many? All of you done? Can you please confirm who are all already doing it?
Yes, the SDK is installing, and the VM instance has also been created.
Okay, good. If you're okay, if Neville you were able to do it, I assume all the others
I hope so.
able to do it. That's good. Okay. Okay, so now once it is done, you see here there is some called SSH, right? There is a drop down here. So go to this, and here you can see view gcloud command, right? Just open it, click it, and you see it will give the complete command to be used for accessing. Okay, before again, I want to tell you one thing more. It needs putty. So go to open another browser or a tab on your browser. Just download the putty, P-U-T-T-Y, okay? So download putty, a free SSH and Telnet client for Windows. This is important and it should be installed because gcloud will use it by default. So download putty, click here, and you'll be seeing that either anyone you can use. 64-bit, I'll assume that you are using Windows, Intel. So this is putty 64-bit installer. Just download this.
What's the difference between 64 and 32 bits?
Okay, these are the for older processor. I don't believe anyone today using 32-bit processor. All are 64-bit processors. Okay. So this is by default, use this one.
Okay.
I'm sure all of us are using the 64-bit right now. Okay. So just download this and again, once it is downloaded, just again, same thing, double click that. Just double click and you see here, then go to next. It will be saved in C program files putty, next, and install. I'm just overwriting it. This is not a risk, so I'm just making it overwrite. Okay, first it is uninstalling, then again it will install. Okay, now, okay, finish. Now, putty also installed, right? Hopefully you have done it. Then close it. Okay, this meeting controls are giving me a hard time. Okay. Now go back to your console, cloud console, SSH gcloud command. Again, click it and just copy it. If you click here, you see there is a kind of small windows, two windows, copy it, right? Just click, whole command will be copied to your clipboard. And simple open a command line interface and you see it. Okay, before that, did you install gcloud, by the way, just for my information? Did you install gcloud? All of you?
You mean like the SDK? Yeah, the Google Cloud SDK.
Okay. So initially, did it ask to configure?
Well, for me, it's still downloading. It's still extracting. So it's not done yet.
gcloud?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll wait because that is something we have to configure first. If you're not, then it will not work. So this will not work unless gcloud is configured. So we'll do that first. For that, open CMD. You is on your type search, right? Just write CMD. And then this command line interface, command prompt in Windows term, this will be opened. Okay. If you type gcloud and enter, you see there will be a lot of options, right? We'll tell how to use these options, but just to check if the gcloud is properly installed or not, you can write just gcloud and enter. Let me go back to my presentation a little bit so that we understand a little bit about gcloud. This is, you see here, gcloud command line interface, how to set it up. So I'll possibly share this presentation so that you know how to do it. But install the CLI, this is what we have already done, right? Now we have to set it up first time to use it. So the command is gcloud auth login, authorization, right? Gcloud authorization and login. The command is login. So let's go back to the same. I'll go to Windows, CMD, right? So gcloud AUTH login, right? Give a space, gcloud space AUTH login, and enter. Then it will directly open the browser. If you see, select the account which you are using to create the VMs, right? So I am using this account and select allow, click allow, and then that's all. It will come back to your CLI again. It will come back and it will allow you. That means you have now you logged in from the command line interface. Okay. And if you want to, you see here, you are now logged in as, can I increase this font size? Okay. Can you see this font, or do you have any challenges seeing that? So you are now logged in as, you see, punchcloud@gmail.com, and your current project is int superstate 331812. To check it, you can go back to your console, and you see here, I'll just close it. To check if it is there or not, go to here. My first project will be by default created for you. Just check it. My project, and the ID is here, nth superstate 331812, right? So here is the same thing. And if you want to change to a different project, it is giving the command also, gcloud config set project and the project ID. Suppose I want to create a new project. I don't want to use it, right? Or here, new project. I can create it. Maybe training, right? Project name is training, and no arc, and create. I can create a new project, right? You see here creating project training. So it is created, and always I can switch from one project to another. You see here previously it was my first project, which was by default created. Now I created a new project called training, and I selected that. You see here training is selected, and in each project I have to enable the compute engine API. I can enable it. While it is being enabled, let me go back to my original first project, which is by default for, right, where my instance is running, right? So, and if I want to change to the training project, so what I can do is gcloud config set project to the project ID. So let's do that later, and I don't want to change it now because I have my instance is running in my first project. So let me just simple copy the gcloud command and copy it here. If you don't want to click here, simply select it, right click and copy. You can do that. Otherwise, simple click here, it will be copied to your clipboard. And go to here and just copy, and it is already copied, just paste it. You see here, gcloud beta compute SSH. You are going to SSH secure cell zone. You know that this is the zone instance one, the instance name and the project, right? And just enter. You'll be able to see that is asking a permission to that this host key, the server host key does not match the one putty has cast. So you see, this is actually a putty security alert. So if you don't have the putty installed, this will not come, and this command will not be successful. So you must install putty before executing that command. And just select yes. And here you see now my instance I have logged into from my Windows machine. That is, now this machine is running in the cloud actually. And I am logged in there. You see here, and it is instance one, P9 at instance one, if you see the name. And just do a IP if config -a, right? Or IPADDR IP address. Use this command. You can just to see, there's just two commands you can use to just see the IP address of the system. So any idea what you'll see? You will see the internal IP actually. It will not show. You see here, what is the IP it is showing? 10.150.03/32, right? And this is the IP address. Or there's another command called if config. Simple, if you config -a, if you put, you can also see the IP address of the system. So ETH0 is the interface, and here inet, this is the IP address of the VM 10.150.03. That is the internal IP. You can check it if it is the same what is showing here. You see here the internal IP 10.150.03, right?
Yeah.
We saw that 10.150.03, and once you log in to the system, log into the the VM or instance, and you take IP, whatever it is showing, actually it will be internal to the machine. So the internal IP is always the internal IP what has been shown in the console. That's always the, if you go to the VM and try to see the IP, you will never able to see what is the public IP. Obviously, there is a way to see that, but by default, it will show always the internal IP. Okay. And now it is a system like you can use for any purpose, by the way. You can install packages like all the yum command, if you are aware of, sudo yum update -y sudo. You can, now I'm updating the machine, actually the packages. So, right? So now we'll go back to the next page, how to use it. It's simple, you logged in. But as a developer, I want to use it for some purpose, right? So for that, what I'll do is I'll try to download a small web server, and I'll try to create a web page there, one pager. So, and we'll try to access it, and we'll try to modify it too using our MS Code tool. Okay. Just for a demo that how to work on this from Windows system, though it is a Linux, but we can very well work it from our own Windows system inside remotely from our home.
We have 5 more minutes left, Punch.
Yeah, so I think we should be good enough.
Okay.
It should be faster. Okay. Now, I assume you have MS Code installed. If you're not, simple, go to same Google MS Code. Search MS Code and Visual Studio Code, right? Or VS Code, maybe. Simple VS Code. Visual Studio Code, right? And go to download. And for Windows, just download it and save it. You can install it again. VS Code. This is a developer tool to write code, and it's free. Visual Studio is not free, but VS Code is free. I have already installed, and just double click. Okay, setup is already, so it's running. It won't. So I have already installed it. Same thing, click, click, click. Don't change anything. You'll be able to run it. So this is Visual Studio Code, right? While that is running, the Linux system is running, right? And we saw that here. And hopefully, yeah, okay, it's still downloading. Okay, I didn't say you how to access directly from PuTTY, right? So once you have installed PuTTY, go to again search PuTTY, right? Open that, and this is the PuTTY configuration, right? Once actually you log in and you are able to log in here first time, you will see in your folder, in your home folder in Windows, that is, go to your home folder here, and you'll see a .ssh folder will be there, .ssh. In that, you'll find some keys, .ppk file, .pub file, and this is another file, simple without any extension. You'll find these three will be there by default once you are able to log in using gcloud, because gcloud actually created this for you to use it. Okay, so that it becomes easier. I'm not going to show you. Previously it used to be manually creating and doing it yourself, but it has become easier with the gcloud functionality. Simple. If you log in using gcloud, it will by default creating this folder. So now if you don't want to use gcloud always, how to use it, how to access the instance from PuTTY. Okay, let's see that. It's basic, but one should know about it. So there are three things we will need. One is the IP address, public IP address. Second thing, the username. Third thing, the key. It's called private key. Three things we'll need to log in. So what I said, IP address, first thing. You need the IP address, that's the public IP, and this is the public IP. Just copy it to the clipboard and put it here. Copy it. So always port is 22. Remember, SSH port is 22. So that's one. And just you can save it. 1 minute. First, let me delete which I have already. So this is it the public? Yes, 34 and 13. Okay, 34 and 13, right? 34, 152, 36. This is the IP. Then give it a name every time, because if you don't save it, it will be gone, and you have to every time you have to do this. So first time I want to give it a name, GCP instance 1, and then let's just save it just as of now. Just give the IP and go to data. If you go to data, here it will ask what is the auto login. Login username is P Nayak. That's my user ID. It is slow. Okay. Now, again, don't save it now. Go to SSH here. Click SSH. Okay, and just expand this SSH and click authorization. Once you click here it will appear as browse. And here, what you have to do is click browse and go to .ssh file, and you will see .ppk file only will be seen. because you see here, only .ppk file will be recognized by PuTTY, is by default. So just open it and then go back to session and just save it. If you save here, you GCP instance 1 came. And if you now close it also, okay, and reopen it, same thing will be there. And if you see here GCP instance and just select GCP instance and load. Once you load, if you see the all whatever has been there, you save pnac and SSH, go to auth. My system is slow. What happened? And you see here, this is also selected, right? And go to session and just open it. And you see here, if you open, it is now logged in. Same thing, what previously had logged in, right? Same machine. This is using gcloud, and this is using PuTTY, right? Now, there is another way. You can always, it is another useful tip I'm giving you. Some of you may know. Open file location and go to PuTTY and simple right click and send to desktop so that it will create a shortcut. PuTTY shortcut. You don't have to go every time. So you can click here. Now, that been deleted previously, right? So you now have a shortcut for PuTTY and maybe give some other name or leave it, not to confuse. Now go to properties, right click, and properties. And here you can give command directly so that every time you don't have to open, I'll tell you exactly, notepad. Open a notepad and give the command. What is normal SSH command? SSH -I and the folder. Actually, normally Windows systems, they recognize spaces in a command, but in Linux, it is important that you don't have any space, or if you have space, there is a special way to give that. So what I do is I created a, instead of, because panchaleshwar.nayak, there is a space, right? So normally Windows system is okay, but Linux normally does not recognize the space. It will just take only Nayak. So what I have done is create a separate folder called SSH key, and I have copied all my SSH stops from here, all the three. If you see here, all the three. Copy and go to D drive where you created SSH key and paste it here. Right click and paste, right? Replace all files. Now it becomes easier because there is no space. So simple, just copy this and this is the file I want, or because this is a 1 minute, copied, because this is PuTTY, so I want the ppk file -I and then pnayak @ the IP address. This is the IP address. Okay, in a Linux system, this will be actually the command to log into the system. So, but here, if you see here, we're using PuTTY. So what I'll be interested in is only this much, not the SSH command. So what I am going to do, the shortcut which I have created, right? Just right click, properties, and just give a space here. You see the target, right? Target, give a space and paste your command and okay. Now let me close all the things. So you see how simple it became just by doing that once. I just double click it. I'm logged in. You see here? I don't have to open putty every time. Simple, once I set it up, the properties of that, right? So here, I have just copied everything, whole command, so that I just double click here and I am able to log in. Then you can always, to recognize that what it is, you can just put it, change rename it to GCP instance 1, right? And you recognize now this is always, great. So this is what the machine, let me just to show you, I want to have a file called, let me test.java code, test.java, vi, okay, vi test Java. Why it is so slow? My Windows machine is slow, I don't know why. It's not Windows, actually it is from my Mac, it is giving me trouble. Escape is not working properly. Okay, so here, now I have just to demo, I have created a test.java file, right? Now I have my Visual Studio Code installed on my Windows. How to access that file, which is in the cloud instance, from my desktop directly on my Visual Studio Code so that I can edit it. So let me close it first so that I'll start from the beginning. It becomes easier then. Open a new Visual Studio Code installation, and you see here there's something called Remote Explorer, right? Before that, you create install one extension also. So that is called Remote SSH, or for development also remote development. Directly you can install this one. It becomes easy. So remote development here, previously when you have not installed, it will, instead of one install, it will appear install. So just click that, and all these all others also dependents, because it depends on the SSH, that will be also installed. You see here, this is also installed, right? So these are the extensions you need to work in a remote system. So now go to the remote. Let me delete it. I have, okay, let me create a new one. Here, previously I had an instance, so it is there. Now there is a plus sign here, add new, right? Once you go here, SSH, go to the SSH targets, SSH targets, click plus, and here enter to confirm, or you can directly give, you see here, right? Put the whole thing. Right, and it will give where you want to save the file. So let me put it here, or you can actually give by default one, just give, right? And did it add? What is the IP? 10.150G. Okay, 3413. 30, yeah, this is the one, right? And now just here click and it could not connect. Okay, close remote. Let me see how the file looks like first. What you can do is always go to local, first set up the config file. If you see here, the config file will appear here. And identify this one. So hostname 236, 150, 236, 150, 236 .sh. Okay, this should be good enough for me. No, you see here and save it. So what I'm telling here is connect to 34, 150, 236, and the identity file is slash. You see the tilde here is the home folder .ssh Google Compute Engine. That's the key. That's all I need actually. So now, same thing, remote folder, and just see here if it is communicating or not. 150, why it is not communicating? Close remote. It should 1 minute. Is there anything wrong? Let me, possibly it's taking my old key. Let me quickly delete it. Actually, this has been same old key, so it is not connecting. SSH keys, and on my C drive also, I'll just delete it, the SSH, delete. Sometimes you do multiple times, same keys are not deleted. That adds to the complexity. So what I'll do is, same thing I'll do what I did previously, just take the command and I'll execute it again here. So that now it is recreating. Okay, good. Previously it just reused the key what already had. Now it is recreating, updating the project SSH metadata. Okay. So now, okay. So now it is done. Now again, which I deleted previously, you see here, you can see new files will be there. Go to .ssh and you see these are the new files, right? So now I believe it should work. No SSH have been created, so add it and enter SSH connection command, and this is the command. Okay, it is for here. You don't need the PPK. You need the actual Linux one because it's going to be, this is the command, and hopefully no. Just to show you what is the command. This is for, okay, this is putty command, and this is SSH command. So SSH, this is the command. So post added. Okay, now this one, click. Hopefully this time it will be, yep. So now, are you sure you want to continue? Yes, continue. Now you see here, what happened? Extension. Why it is not? could not establish. Node was config. Let me open this file 1 minute. Open with. Okay, here. Okay, this is Windows column. You see here? Always. First thing is, let me open the folder .ssh. In that, let me edit properly the ssh config command. You see here? Okay. This is the slash identify. It was omitted, right? So I have to save it again. This is actually, so we have to edit that config file first so that it takes the path properly. So it is tilde slash .ssh slash this one. Google Compute Engine is the key. Now, so open it. Explorer. What is this? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to open the Windows one. Remote Explorer. Open. So now you see here, it will set up the SSH for the remote host. And now, now it is connected. Open folder, and here you see here in the slash enac, this is the, okay. And I trust it, trust the authors, okay. You see here, there's a test.java, right? Which I created on a Linux system. Here, ls, you see here, test.java I created. Now it is appearing here, so you can write all your test code like whatever you want, include all the files and whatever. So that's all today, guys. And think we'll do some next time more. But at least today I introduced just how to access the file and able to work on a cloud system, cloud VM. And in fact, we can do a lot of things here by installing Java executables and Java compiler, everything. Just write the code from here and execute it on the cloud system. If it is not Windows, then also there's no issues because you are able to work on Windows and save it on the remote host, remote cloud system. Okay, so that's all for today. And anything else you want to ask quickly? I know we are already late, but if anybody wants to ask any questions, please go ahead. 5 minutes we'll have for the question. Sorry guys, my Mac is configured to access my phones. So if nothing is there, then let's stop it here. Thank you very much.
Thanks much.